Lucy Connolly has been manhandled without provocation, handcuffed. That's according to the deputy leader of Reform UK, Richard Tice.
Before she knew it, there's many officers surrounding her. There's a nurse there, and she is manhandled physically, violently to the ground in an operation they call a bend-up. Hands put violently behind her back, handcuffed very, very tightly, dragged up 3 flights of stairs into this new wing where she's thrown into almost effectively solitary confinement.
Starmer's political prisoner, Lucy Connolly, a 41-year-old mother, former childminder, and the wife of a Conservative councillor, now sits behind bars. She was handed a 3-year prison term for a deleted tweet written in a moment of raw emotion after the murder of 3 young girls in Southport. This time, the justice system wasted no time, delivering a punishment harsher than what many actual sexual predators receive. A single deleted outburst online has been treated as if it were a crime of blood and violence.
Lucy Connolly, who's been given a 31-month prison sentence for saying something unpleasant on social media in the wake of the horrific murders of 3 young girls. She should not be in prison, period.
That was the moment Richard Tice stepped into the arena. He launched a fierce attack on Keir Starmer, condemning the brutal way dissenting voices are crushed under his watch. In Tice's telling, this was not about justice, it was about making an example. A mother of a 12-year-old girl, with no history of violence, handed a sentence longer than that given to some convicted rapists, then subjected to outright physical mistreatment behind bars. He personally went to the prison where Lucy is being held. Tice described how her wrists were left ringed with yellow bruises, the skin marked from handcuffs clamped so tightly they cut into her flesh. This was not discipline, it was calculated humiliation. To Tice, the message could not be clearer. In Starmer's Britain, the crime of speaking out carries a heavier price than the epidemic of real violence consuming the Britain streets.
I also talked to her about her experience in prison, astonishingly shocking. She has bruises from very tight handcuffs on her wrists. 5 days on, you can still see significant discolouring. Handcuff her very aggressively, drag her up 3 flights of stairs in that position.
Keir Starmer has remained silent on the allegations of physical abuse against Lucy Connolly. Richard Tice has demanded that the prison CCTV footage be released to the public, yet nothing has been provided, and ignoring that stands as damning proof of his claims. The case of Lucy is perhaps the most damaging to Starmer's image, and he avoids the subject with every fibre of his being. Keir says he condemns all hateful calls, and then moves away from the topic as quickly as possible. Lucy's husband has revealed heartbreaking details. Their 12-year-old daughter cannot live a normal life without her mother and suffers every single day. She asks constantly when a letter from her mum will arrive, unable to understand why the government has punished her so harshly. He admits that most likely the daughter will not see her mother on her upcoming birthday.
Is she still not allowed, day releases to come back and see your kid?
No, they've been all denied as she's unsuitable for. Because she's got bad anxiety anyway, and she kept saying, "Oh, when's mummy's letter coming? When's mummy's letter coming?" And I said, "Look, we're just waiting now." She'll be thinking, she'll be missing my 13th birthday with the date I gave her. We're going to see her Sunday, we're going to go to a family day, then it's only a couple of months away.
Keir Starmer knows about Lucy Connolly's case, and he's gone on record claiming the court's verdict was justified. 3 years behind bars, that's the punishment handed to a 41-year-old mother now caged alongside rapists and killers. Her offence, a tweet written in the hours after 3 young girls were murdered in the Southport massacre. For Starmer, protecting his political brand comes before anything else. He will do whatever it takes to ensure his open borders agenda remains untarnished, no matter how many voices must be silenced in the process. It makes no difference whether the voice belongs to a political figure like Tommy Robinson or to a mother and former childminder who vented her outrage on her own Twitter account, only to delete it a couple of hours later.
Is freedom of speech dead in this country?
Let me give you the principles that I would apply. Firstly, I'm strongly in favour of free speech. We've had free speech in this country for a very, very long time, and we protect it fiercely. I'm equally, though, against incitement to violence against other people. That has long been an offence in our country, and rightly so. Free speech, yes.
The hypocrisy Starmer parades is beyond disgusting. Lucy removed her post within hours, once the red haze of grief and anger had passed. She openly admitted she had been wrong. She apologized. But to the cold machinery of Starmer's justice system, that counted for nothing. It didn't matter that she had spent years helping legal migrants integrate, including family of Nigerian doctors working in the NHS, who spoke warmly of her kindness. That side of her life was erased in an instant, replaced with the label of radical and accusing in racism because it suited the narrative. Richard Tice has made it clear, this is a system that shows no mercy. When the topic turns to illegal immigration, Starmer's fury seems almost personal. He cannot, or will not, say openly that by showering illegal arrivals with taxpayer-funded benefits, placing them in high-end hotels while British families struggle, he is effectively securing a permanent block of loyal voters. That truth is politically toxic, so instead he hides behind clever legal jargon, twisting parliamentary language to claim his critics are wrong. He waves around carefully selected statistics from parts of the country untouched by the full weight of the migrant crisis, painting a false picture for the cameras. That is the treatment reserved for political adversaries in televised debates and parliamentary exchanges. But Lucy, she was far easier to deal with. No political back and forth, no careful PR strategy, just a brutal 3-year prison sentence. It was swifter than any immigration case he's ever handled, and harsher than the penalties handed to some men who have committed acts of real physical violence. In Starmer's Britain, hurting the government's image is the one crime they will never forgive.
I think it was completely inappropriate, completely too harsh. I don't actually think she needed jailing. And that then makes people, like Lucy Connolly, a political prisoner.
Yes, Lucy is a political prisoner. Every human being can make a mistake, and she is no exception. Richard Tice has tried to make it clear, this is a two-tier justice system operating under Starmer's command. When he was elected, people expected the former prosecutor to bring a fairer future. Well, here it is, laid bare. 400 to 500 illegal migrants cross the channel every single day, and Starmer couldn't care less. Many arrive unable to speak English. In every major city, there are ghettos where they settle, and with them has come a surge in phone thefts, grooming gangs, sexual assaults, and machete attacks on open streets. But apparently, it's far more important to ensure that a cell meant for such offenders is occupied by a 41-year-old mother who wrote a tweet. This is Starmer's hypocrisy in its purest form, and there are new details. Exercising his legal rights, her husband filed an appeal in his wife's case. He believed the court would recognize the sentence as excessive and show at least some measure of mercy. Lucy's family thought the appeal might change things. Her husband and daughter dared to hope they would see her home again, maybe even in time for her daughter to spend her 13th birthday with her mother. But the court's verdict was brutal and final. No leniency, no compromise. The sentence remains exactly as it was, and there will be no further changes. Case closed.
Lucy Connolly, she's the wife of a Conservative councillor. Her appeal against the 31-month sentence has been dismissed, so she will remain in prison.
Let's just have a minute to think about this country. This is a mother who has now got 284 days to remain away from her child and her husband because she wrote one angry post on social media. And she also says that this is because she herself was suffering from bereavement. It was up for about 3.5 hours. She deleted it.
31 months in jail.
The appeal was officially denied, sealing Lucy's fate. She now faces the reality of spending the next 3 years in prison, cut off from her young daughter. Richard Tice revealed that she had been transferred to a prison wing reserved for the most dangerous offenders. This is a place where violent criminals, drug dealers, and repeat offenders serve their sentences under the harshest conditions. Tice warned that such an environment poses extreme risk to Lucy's safety. He fears that, in a setting like this, it would be all too easy for someone to plant contraband in her cell. Such a setup, he cautioned, is a known tactic used in these wings to frame targeted inmates. If that were to happen, Lucy's already grim situation could become far worse. The threat is not only to her freedom, but also to her reputation, which has already been smeared by the political machine. Tice insisted that this transfer makes no logical sense for a non-violent, first-time offender. To him, it looks like an intentional move to provoke her or trap her in further charges. And for Lucy, it's yet another reminder that in Starmer's Britain, political prisoners aren't just punished, they are broken.
I think it's because we have two-tier justice under two-tier Keir. She was taken to what I'm going to call the naughty girls wing as opposed to what she expected, which was the good girls wing because she'd been a model prisoner. Well, all of a sudden she's violently sort of manhandled to the ground by 6 or 7 guards, tightly handcuffed and dragged up 3 flights of stairs that it would suit some for a narrative to emerge that that Lucy Connolly is provoked by some incident over the remaining 7 or 8 weeks of her expected period in jail. Given that she's now in a wing where there are significant drugs, that's, I don't think, revealing any great secrets. You know, if someone planted a drug in her cell that was then coincidentally found by prison officers, you know, I don't think this is too conspiratorial. I think we've got to face into reality. I've put it out there on record, and I've advised her to be extremely careful.
In Parliament, Richard Tice delivered a furious speech condemning the two-tier justice system operating under Starmer's watch. Using Lucy Connolly's case as a glaring example, he introduced a proposal aimed at preventing such abuses of power. Starmer's cynicism, Tice argued, is written all over this case. Here is a leader who speaks of equality before the law, yet stands by as non-violent mothers are locked away for years while violent offenders walk free. The Richard Tice's legislation would allow ordinary citizens to challenge sentences they believe are grossly unfair. He explained that people should not have to rely solely on expensive legal teams to correct judicial mistakes. Instead, they would be able to submit a public petition to trigger an independent review of the sentence. Such a reform would strike directly at the heart of Starmer's selective justice. It would make it far harder for those in power to use the courts as a weapon against their critics. And it would create a safeguard that ensures political convenience can no longer dictate who is punished most severely. If 500 signatures were gathered, the Criminal Cases Review Commission would be required to re-examine the case. This triple-check safeguard, as Tice called it, would add a new layer of accountability to Britain's justice system. He argued that such a measure is essential in a country where non-violent offenders like Lucy are jailed longer than dangerous criminals. Tice insisted that Lucy's ordeal should become the catalyst for change, not just another forgotten injustice. For him, the bill is about restoring faith in the legal system and about proving that political persecution has no place in a free nation.
To make provision for the general public to require and petition that the Criminal Cases Review Commission should review cases where the petitioners believe that sentences handed down are either too lenient or too harsh, for the review of such sentences, and to make provision for the referral of such cases by the Commission to the Court of Appeal, where there is an independent judiciary, respected, where there is a respected legal system, and where there historically has been confidence amongst the people of this democracy for this judicial and legal system. Puts out a offensive, inappropriate, bad tweet for a few hours, calms down, apologises and withdraws that online information and tweet. But is then, because of that tweet, is then charged and sentenced in a very serious way.
Tice closed his address with a warning that Britain is sliding into a state where justice serves politics, not the people. He said that without reforms like Lucy's bill, ordinary citizens will continue to live in fear of speaking their minds. Starmer, he claimed, will go down in history as the Prime Minister who treated free speech as a criminal act. Lucy's suffering, he argued, should stand as a symbol of why the public must demand change. The choice, he told MPs, is between defending the rights of the people or enabling the abuse of power.